Welcome to NEISD Curriculum Day 2018. This video is from your Special Education Department to share with you an overview of modifications and accommodations. We will review basic questions about them, but to make it applicable to you, this video will be paused at several points to discuss how modifications and accommodations apply in your specific content area. It is always best to start with the why. So our first question is, why do we modify and accommodate for students with IEPs? The answer to that for all educators, no matter what your content area or level, is this is the heart of specially designed instruction. Our charge is to adapt as appropriate to the needs of an eligible child, the content, methodology, or delivery of instruction to address the unique needs of the child that results from the child's disability, and to ensure access of the child to the general education curriculum so that the child can meet the education standards within the jurisdiction of the public agency that apply to all children. Another way of looking at the why can be captured in the simple mean. How deep is the mud? Depends on who you ask. We all go through the same stuff differently. Our students with IEPs all have to go through the same stuff, or curriculum, and we are not only supposed to provide access, but progress in the general education curriculum. There are many ways we can provide this, but two of the main ways are through accommodations and modifications. So this leads us to the next question. What is the difference between modifications and accommodations? Well, in a nutshell, accommodations change the how of learning. This is about providing equal access to the playing field by making adaptations to learning methodology or delivery of instruction. Modifications change the what of learning. This is for students that not only need access to the playing field, but additionally specially designed instruction that alter in some way the actual content to provide access. But how do you really know? It is not a black and white decision. It depends on the standard. What is the intent of the standard? How would changing it impact the integrity of the content standard? This is where we are going to pause to make it apply to you. At your level and content, what are some examples of the differences between modifications and accommodations? The next question is, how do I know if I'm supposed to modify or accommodate? This is a simple but essential question because each student's plan is individualized. While this can be overwhelming, think of it like this. What is the student's story? Their story is weaved throughout the IEP, in the PLAF, goals, accommodation page, and then this leads to decisions about their schedule of services. You need to access your student's IEP, and this is where you should look first. You need to build strong relationships with your case managers you work with, because you will have questions for them. Meet with them frequently, but at a minimum, at the beginning of the year, each quarter, for testing and helping them prepare for the annual ARD. At secondary, your campus coordinator is a dedicated staff member to consult with for all your questions. Pause again for a moment to discuss what is the process at your campus to review the IEP at the start of the school year and as they are reviewed annually. And who do you go to for questions? Experienced staff, please don't forget to reach out to new staff members and share this with them. So what do accommodations and modifications look like in a co-teach classroom? What do they look like in an instructional facilitation classroom? To best understand this, we need to know the purpose, definition, and student criteria for each of them. The purpose for co-teach is to access and to progress in the general education curriculum. We do this through scaffolding, modifications, and intense, specially designed instruction. Instructional facilitation, on the other hand, is to ensure cognitive engagement. We assist the general education teacher in the IEP development so they can provide the correct accommodations. We focus on independence and self-advocacy. Co-teach is an equal teacher collaboration of intensive support for the modification of the TEKS that are required. It is to design, implement, and monitor instruction closely. In instructional facilitation, it's supported by a special education teacher or a trained paraprofessional to make sure they are successful with the grade level TEKS through the accommodations. This is not modified. In the student criteria for co-teach, the data indicates that the degree of support needed is for 2 certified teachers, since the student's performance is multiple years below grade level expectation. This can include modification of the content, instruction, and assessment. This will look like a lot of reteaching, pre-teaching with frequent small group instruction. This has specialized monitoring or assistance navigating the classroom. Whereas in instructional facilitation, the data does also indicate a lack of success without a second adult, but the student's performance is on or near grade level. They might need intensive organizational support or accommodations that cannot be implemented independently. While we make this distinction between co-teach and instructional facilitation, we want to clarify that modifications and accommodations are not an either-or choice. Students can have both modifications and accommodations. They can and should be considered subject by subject for the level of supports needed. For more in-depth information on these supports, please go to the SPED webpage, and under Campus Resources there are program rubrics, critical components, and T-test alignments for co-teach, instructional facilitation, and all other instructional programs. As you get to know your students, you might ask, what if I believe my student needs more or less of a modification or accommodation? It is a critical question because independence is our ultimate goal, and we need to balance it with just the right support to also provide access to help students make progress in the general education curriculum. If you are asking this question, this means you clearly know your content, your student, and have built a positive relationship with him or her. So please speak up. Talk to the case manager. Gather data. What does the performance look like with and without the modification and accommodation? And remember, it does not have to be the same for every content. Please do not rely on the eSPED drop-down menus for making decisions on what is needed, and always strive for the least restrictive options. What is the best way to set up my classroom to successfully deliver modifications and accommodations? If you have built a culture and designed your lessons to be differentiated for all students, then you already have the right soil to nourish modifications and accommodations. Do you have open-ended ways for your students to show demonstration of mastery of your content? Do you use total participation techniques and have a culture where each student's answer matters so that you can be collecting data through daily formative assessment? If you do, then modifications and accommodations will be easier and will be a natural byproduct. Please pause to discuss specific strategies in your content on how to successfully deliver modifications and accommodations in the classroom. What are my T-test connections? There are actually many, but these 4 specifically highlight how instruction and assessment is planned for diverse learners. Pause for a moment to review. What trainings will there be this year to support me? We have actually planned some PD just around this topic for you. The title will be called Beyond Shortened Assignments, opening the possibilities with accommodations and modifications. This will be in 2 parts. The first part, you can choose between a half-day session on Super Saturday or through an e-course that will be available after September 25th. Part 2 in the applications will be very specific to the contents and will be after school for both elementary and secondary. For co-teach training, we will have several this year for elementary and secondary. Be on the lookout in EBD to sign up in Eduphoria. We also already have an online e-course that can be found in Eduphoria in the e-course section titled Co-Teaching in NEISD. Check it out. This short video was designed as an overview to get the conversation started in what this looks like in your content and to start the year off successfully for modifications and accommodations. But we know you will have more questions. First, reach out to your campus staff, the case manager, the GLC or campus coordinator, the admin over SPED, but we are here for any questions you have. Each campus has a dedicated special education program coordinator. You can also reach out to Perrette Partridge, the Special Education Program Coordinator for Curriculum and Instruction, or Dr. Kristen Williams, the Special Education Director of Curriculum and Instruction. After the video, please have a short discussion about what are your aha moments and name 2 ways you will begin the year successfully with modifying and accommodating. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your professional collaboration at Curriculum Day.